Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Gotham Sound TV Quarantine Edition. I am with Paul Youngblood of Tascam. Hi, Paul. Say hello.
Hello, good afternoon, and good morning from here in beautiful Los Angeles.
Aha. How are things? How are things by you?
Things are okay. As we all know, it's a different world and a different time. And this is Tascam Central here, which is my converted bedroom now.
Uh-huh.
Since where many of us are working at home, but we're getting by. We will prevail, and I'm looking forward to just things calming down, and it's all going to be fine.
Yeah. What's your life like? Are you able to get outside? How are you managing?
Yeah, no, we're managing fine. My spouse, my wife, is a hairstylist,
Uh huh.
and so she obviously is out of work,
Yeah.
and so she's in a little bit of shock. She's been doing that forever. But as far as my life goes, yeah, we do go out. We are doing social distancing. My luckily my mother-in-law has a house with a pool, and we do
Mm.
like to go over there and go swimming, and that's our vacation basically. We figured this summer.
That's good, and I imagine it's everybody needs a haircut. Everybody needs hairstyling right now. At least mine is out of control, and so I imagine that's also frustrating to not be able to do what you love to do.
Yeah, and all of her customers, because she's been doing this forever, are just so disappointed, and they are begging her to do house calls.
Yeah, I'll bet. I'll bet. And what's LA like? Is it we can only sort of see what it's like through news reports, and I feel like the news reports in some aspects are exaggerated about New York. In others, not so exaggerated. But what is it like in LA?
It's surreal. It
Mm.
really is surreal. And the reason I say that, Peter, is, this is a city on wheels. And if I go out and need to go somewhere, there is no one, virtually very few people on the road. And even when you get on the freeways, it's like 3 a.m. on a Sunday evening all the time.
Yeah, no, I know. It's well, the air is much better for New York, at least I imagine for LA as well.
Same here. Very much
Um,
better.
I had to drop a package off at UPS, and the way to do that late at night is to go to the UPS place on the west side of Manhattan. So that meant I had to drive through Manhattan, and driving back, it was like you're going through Times Square, basically empty. There was another car ahead of me with diplomat plates, I happened to notice, and they were going super slow. We were the only cars on the road, and it was empty. And we were both just gawking at how eerily empty it was.
Yeah, it's the same thing here. And that never happens. Just like in Manhattan, that never happens on our 5 and 405 and 10 freeways.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as we've talked about earlier today on these streams, it is Earth Day, and so at least we get to enjoy the air. So yeah, happy Earth Day. And I'm glad to see that you're healthy, and it sounds
Likewise, my
like
friend.
your family's healthy, and yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Tascam for us, it's always interesting. We specialize in location sound for film and TV, and Tascam have like been the number one product for us, and then as we get location, some of the other location manufacturers came in. It's always in our radar, but not always necessarily the first product that we reach for, and that's a shame, I think, because you guys make so many great products. Can you show us some of those products?
I can. It's my pleasure, and thank you. It's everyone welcome. The one of the things that is interesting about Tascam is that we are a musical instrument recording company, but we also are a heavily into production, audio production specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, our number one selling product in the entire world globally is a variation of this product. This is a DR10X, and you can see the form factor of this. Now, there is a product, this is not our number one seller. This is a high seller that's called the DR10L, and L stands for lavalier. And
The
this has,
the X in your hand is for a XLR mic. Is that right?
Yeah. What's cool about this is that this is a great ENG recorder, news gathering, electronic news gathering, or a handheld for just walking up and talking to folks. You can click on any dynamic mic, and this body is very streamlined. They use the DR10L and the DR10X, by the way. They use one AAA battery, and it will last about 12 hours, which is why the cinema folks love these. So this is the one made for the XLR, Peter,
Mm-hmm.
and the L version is made for a lav, and it comes with a really high quality twist and turn lavalier microphone as well that you can hide and all that good stuff.
Twist and turn meaning like a stereo mini that locks.
Yeah, it's frankly kind of the Sennheiser
That's
standard.
I was wondering how I was going to ask you that in a diplomatic way, but that's
I'll
good.
say that, yes.
Good. All right.
Sennheiser type, I will say.
Yeah. Good. No, that's fantastic, and yeah, 8-hour battery life on the
It's about
lavalier version.
11 or 12 hour
11 hour or
battery.
12. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's really that's remarkable.
And I got to tell you, the if you're into videography, which I know a lot of your customers are in production,
Mm-hmm.
the cinema industry, the film industry, and in particular, the event industry loves the DR10L version with the lav, because then the audio is supreme when they make their videos. And this will all end, as we just talked about, and there will be weddings abundantly, hopefully again, and I'm sure it
Uh-huh.
will. But they love those, Peter, because they clip one on the bride, they put one on the groom, they put one on the pastor. They usually make sure that the people making the toast afterwards, which would be the mom, dad, grandfather, or whatever. I've seen videographers that specialize in wedding industries go to a job with as many as 10 of these. And they literally just they hit record and then they lock, so you can't turn it off accidentally.
And what's the
Um,
recording time? I know the battery life, but can you make the recording time match?
yes, if it depends on the size of the SD card. It records to an SD card, a micro SD.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had, a let's say as much as a 128 gigabyte SD card, the time would literally be in days, not hours.
Huh. And what kind of sample rate and bit depth can we expect?
Yeah, you can. It's 24-bit. You can go up to 96, no problem. Generally, most folks use 48.
Mm-hmm.
Which is good enough. Even the cinema folks usually use 24, 48. So
And can you is there a hardware limiter or any other kind of limiter and low cut on there?
there is, and what the in particular the cinema and the event folks love about it is that it has an auto gain sense on it, and it really really works. So you can just set it once. You can place it under the lapel, hide it, all that good stuff. And I got to tell you, literally hundreds of $100 million budget movies have been made with DR10Ls, for
Uh-huh.
real.
Huh.
100. And for distance recording, it has become the standard, because, as you know, when you do distance recording in cinema, you can't have a boom mic, obviously.
Yeah.
That would be a Monty Python joke, right? In a movie. But so they just wire everybody, so they don't. It saves a lot of post production issues as well, where they don't have to fly in the dialogue and have the actors say it again. They're actually using the real time dialogue. So
And are people syncing up with software, or because there's no time code on
there's
natively?
no time code, and it's never been an issue. Frankly, I've never heard anybody, say, "Hey, it must have time code," because they just, import it in generally in the Pro Tools in that industry. And if it's in the video industry for videographers for weddings, a lot of them use Premiere, which is
Mhm.
great, as you know. And they just, if it's off a millisecond or 2 milliseconds, it's okay.
All right. Well, all right. And then they're presumably syncing up with by audio waveform,
Yeah.
either the built-in functionality or plugin. It's a great tool to have in our arsenal. I think it's kind of interesting to start thinking about wiring people in this day and age. Yeah, I mean it's going to be interesting. I imagine people are going to be wiring themselves. I also imagine, there's going to be a period of time between when 25 or more people are allowed to gather and before there's a vaccine hopefully made, where you may have to give an actor or actress their own pack, and then they keep it for the whole shoot.
Yeah.
And this is a product that could provide a solution for some of that, anyways.
Yeah, so that's the DR10L, and again, this is the DR10X version for XLR, and the other one is for lavaliers. And like I said, it is the standard. And you said something interesting about wiring. We had talked about doing a wireless version, and we came to the conclusion that the general market actually likes being wired with the DR10L, because when you do a shoot and you've got your A-rated actors and actresses up there, and this thing goes down because there's a glitch in the megahertz or the gigahertz frequencies. Obviously, Bluetooth is only got a certain distance. You're not want to go up there and say you're going to have to do that again. That's not going to go over.
Yeah, yeah. I think recording definitely eliminates any issues with wireless interference.
Yeah.
No,
So,
that's good. It's great. Um, what else you got?
well, we've got some new product here, and I wanted to talk about. And I am going to switch over to my amazing webcam here, and I
Nice.
think everyone can see that. So what I'm using today here is, I generally don't talk through a dynamic microphone and Audio Technica, which I have plugged into this mixer right here. Hello, by the way. Is I have a really super product that's brand new from Tascam called the Model 12. And it is a small format mixer for what we call for the creator and the multimedia producer. And does a multitude of things. Obviously, it has the skin and the ease of an analog, good old fashioned. You got a channel strip here, and I don't have to go through 48 pages to figure out how to do any of this. So even though it's a genius inside, the facade and the skin is really a good old school analog mixer format. Although inside it's a technical genius.
Hmm.
So you've got the faders, you've got channel strips, EQ, gain, all the great attributes that a good old school analog mixer would have. 10 inputs, which is fine for a lot of applications. It's not a large format, and that's not the idea. We have large format mixers called the Model 16 and the Model 24 if you want more.
Hmm.
But this one is 10 input. These are stereo paired. It's got a Bluetooth channel, so I could pair Bluetooth with it from any device. And you can choose that just to go through the mains, just to go through the headphones only, or go through channels 9 and 10 here. So it does have Bluetooth pairing as well. But we're Tascam, and we're a recording company. So, Peter, inside of the unit, it has a 12-track, multi-track recorder directly to an SD card. And there's a slot right here. So you insert your SD card. Again, you can go up to the 512 gigabytes, 128, 256, and then get days of recording, even at 12 tracks, and just have at it, and then record directly into the from the unit audio inputs. And also, it's a kind of a very interesting unit, and then each channel has an input selector here. And I'm pointing at that right here. And I know you can't see it. I don't want to jiggle the camera too much and
No,
make
no,
a
no. It's good.
wobbly, but
Yep.
you can choose either per channel. Each channel has a live selector, a USB selector,
Hmm.
or a direct select to play back from the multi-track recorder. So my big long-winded point here is it's an audio interface as well.
Can it record and play back at the same time, or it's either or?
No, it can record, playback. Each channel is independent. So, for example, right now I'm using channels 1, 2, and 3.
Hmm.
Um, I have a couple of microphones going into a couple of the channels, so I have those on live input. However, I could take a couple of other channels, let's say the remaining 6, and put those on USB and use
Hmm.
those as a input device or an output device for my computer simultaneously while I'm taking the live, or I could take the live with these three channels. These three could be on USB, and then these four, because there's a stereo paired, could be playing back real time from the internal multi-track recorder all at the same time.
Oh, that's very, very slick. And I have to ask you this: how is it powered?
It is, thank you. I know that this is important for your customers and other segments, but it is a DC powered unit.
Nice. Honest to goodness, 12 volts. Do you happen to know?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that's yes to 12 volts.
Yeah, it is
Oh,
correct.
that's awesome. All right, we have questions and comments. Tom Visser, love my Model 24. Hi, Tom. David Karen. Hey, David. Can you select phantom power for each track individually on this?
You cannot, and we realize that, um, especially for those of you who have your coveted ribbon microphones. So we are aware of that, and the answer is no, that you cannot do that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And what are my analog input flavors on this board
Uh,
in terms of connectivity, XLR, quarter-inch combo?
oh yes. Oh, it's robust, Peter. Each input provides a combo jack, XLR, so no limitations that you can only have three mics. Every input can have a microphone, or it has quarter-inch input, and the quarter has a switch on it that you can choose instrument or line.
Hmm.
So yeah, so you could plug in six mics, an acoustic guitar direct, Bluetooth channel pair from your smartphone because you want to hear some background tracks that you're going to be using for whatever project you're working on. Yeah, all at the same time.
Cool. And how many buses? Obviously, there's a main mix bus, but how many other buses in after that?
It does. It has two headphone outputs, first of all, with their separate mix and their separate routings.
Nice.
So you could set up a different flow per each of the headphone mixes. It does have a sub output as well, a dual sub outputs as well. Two returns for two of the channels, in case you wanted to put in your coveted tube, compressor or your favorite EQ of all time that you just got to have. So we actually put a couple of insert channels on there as well, and an effects processor.
How many? So how many channels have inserts on them?
Two.
Two. Okay.
Yep.
And so in terms of going directly out to another recorder, that would be a challenge for this product.
Well, at that point, if using analog, yes. You using USB, no problem.
Because you could go USB into a computer,
All day long.
and then that USB computer could be, if it was Metacorder or Boom Recorder or even Pro Tools, that could have the time code if you needed a time code reference.
Yes, and it does have MTC built into it. So to take it a little further regarding sync, it does have good old-fashioned MIDI in and MIDI out 5-pin. So because it is also a MIDI interface, if you wanted to plug a keyboard in it for that application, the MIDI port output does send sync MIDI clock with song position pointer. However, it has a USB-C jack on it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you'd use that USB-C as an audio interface, but via the USB-C, you can also send MTC MIDI, basically MIDI time code, sync a external DAW or anything that will receive MIDI time code.
I mean, this really seems like a great all-around utility mixer. I mean, on a film or TV set, I could see it being used as a utility mixer for playback. It has obvious uses for podcasters. And even live. I mean, it seems like it's got a little bit of something for everybody. It's really remarkable.
Yeah, and real quick, thank you for mentioning podcasting. Using a TRRS cable here, right? Not a TRS, a TRRS, tip ring ring sleeve. You could pair your phone to the Bluetooth channel, or connect I still use an old iPhone 6s. Sorry, I love it. It works.
Yeah.
I could just connect this. There's a special input on the back, Peter, that has a TRRS that has mix minus.
That's genius. That's great.
Yeah, yeah. So you could take phone calls real time.
Yeah.
And, mix minus is going to interrupt the flow, so you don't get that bad audio weird feedback that you'd get with an ordinary mixer.
Yeah. And is speaking of phones, is the USB class compliant? Will it enumerate in an iPhone or an iDevice?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and I know that your business Gotham, it would be a great place if anybody's interested to purchase it, and because you guys are experts on
Well,
everything.
I'm just sort of my mind is jumping to the different customers that this would really benefit. So yeah, we definitely we'll talk. What is the map price on this?
$5.99.
Uh-huh.
Good
Very
deal.
very cool. That's very cool.
We're a value company at Tascam. We really are. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, the other product, and just so you don't have to switch the camera back and forth, unless there was any, is there anything else you want to add about this mixer? There's so many features, and I'm looking to Facebook if anybody has any questions. I'll be happy to ask Paul. Anything else you wanted to add about the mixer?
I'm whole on it. It's
Can
it's
you
a
repeat the model number for us one more time?
it's called the model is a Model 12.
Model 12. Perfect.
Model 12.
Um, and so I'm going to switch gears for a moment. New for NAB for you guys is a video device. You're re-entering the video market. Is that right?
That's correct. So that device is right here in all its glory, half rack. So this is called the VSR 265, and we also have a VSR 264. They are identical, but the VSR 265 here has 4K.
4K and a significantly more efficient codec, I would add. My head has been so far into these last few weeks that the 265 model is really very sweet.
It is, and I've been using it a lot personally myself. So it is an appliance. It's literally a video server, even though we call it a streamer. And I only say that because I've noticed that there's been some liberal use of the term streamer lately with some of the other manufacturers who call devices a streamer, but they need a computer, they need specialized software or OBS or whatever someone would use to stream. This unit is an actual streamer. It does everything. It encodes and decodes. It has both. It is a full streamer unto itself. And you notice here that there's an SD card slot. I think that's on the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And it also records internally as well as streams. And since we are Tascam and we are an audio company, we approach the audio differently than just about everybody else. Just about everybody else puts in a 1/8 inch input and an 1/8 inch output for audio. Okay, that's very consumer, as we know. It will work, but I can't imagine taking my audio console and fiddling together some crazy cables, because I have to go to an 1/8 inch jack on a competitor product where we put in stereo balanced inputs and stereo balanced outputs using Phoenix or Euroblock connectors. They're the same thing. I hear them either way. So.
Yes. No, it's a fantastic product. It really is great, and the high quality audio input makes it really in a class by itself.
And there are presets in it. If I could share my screen, let's see if this is going to see here. Let me share my screen if you guys don't mind.
Nope.
I will share. And the only reason I'm doing that is because then I can go to what we call our discovery application.
Hang on.
I'm going to open that
Hang
up.
on 1 second. I don't know. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Good. There we go. Sorry, my computer went haywire just as you did that.
Sorry.
I need to get rid of OBS and have a streaming appliance.
So I opened up the discovery software. This is just a very easy app, and I just wanted to show you something. If I go to the output settings here, this is RMTP, and by the way, it does 3 different, actually 5 different stream simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not RTMP, excuse me, only, or HLS only. It will do multiple simultaneously. So you could stream to Facebook. You could use the HLS Apple, basically Apple standard, which divides everything into packets for pretty, like, literally use that usually for bad wireless connections, multicast, unicast. So anyway, long story short is that right now I'm on the RTMP uh, tab here, and then you can see there are presets. There's a preset for YouTube, Wowza Cloud, the cast, and then a generic RTMP that I would use for Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So it's magic. Like for YouTube, it would just literally connect. Let me
Yes.
cancel that out. And real quick, Peter, as far as the audio goes, of course, you can use the audio that's embedded in the HDMI
Mm-hmm.
because it has an HDMI input. That's how you get video into it. Right now, I'm using the balanced inputs and outputs, or you could use the wonderful 1/8" unbalanced outputs. So
And those are nominally line level in and out. Is that right?
correct. But I can actually choose different, headroom
Reference. Yeah.
reference. Yeah.
This is really great, and it's here. I'm just going to switch cameras. I do feel like it's really important, even as sound people, to really understand this technology. And Paul, I see Paul Katzman is watching, and I really appreciated your live stream talking about how he, as a sound person, deals with live streaming. I think this is a new normal for us, and I think we need to be versed in this technology and some of the issues. Paul, you and I spoke about latency issues in terms of audio going in via the Phoenix connectors and being offset from the HDMI. You said you noticed no noticeable latency.
No, I've used the product many times, Peter, and it is a perfect synchronization between the audio inputs of the VSR, either 264 or 265, and the video. It's fully in sync, and I generally just use the balance inputs personally,
Mm-hmm.
and it works great. And I got to tell you, our mic pre's in the unit, if you want to talk about audio quality, are really, really good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Good specs, low EIN input noise, the whole deal. Just really good specifications.
Yeah, I think it's very strategically smart for Tascam to get into this market, and I've been working on with a couple of musicians, getting them getting their audio quality really to be the best that it can over streams, because it's one thing that I notice can really suffer, and this simplifies that.
Yeah, and you notice that when you talk on the Model 12, back to the Model 12, I'm using as my audio interface. Your voice right now is going into the streaming into the Model 12, and I could actually very simply with one finger here record everything that we just said on the Model 12.
Yeah.
So what I did here is I armed the tracks. You'll notice it's very difficult. That was a joke. This is very old school. You
Yeah.
arm an actual track and it flashes, and then I would go to the transport control and say go.
Paul, I made all kinds of assumptions about the channel strip, but I wonder if you could just briefly go top to bottom on what the knobs are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Back to the Model 12. Get away from the streaming device. There's gain, obviously, low cut filter,
Mm-hmm.
which is essential, especially when you're playing live and people want to thump the stage and all that, or just somebody's popping a lot. There's also a switch, and that switch, like I had mentioned, Peter, goes back and forth between instrument and line for the 1/4 inch.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no limitation. Every channel can be mic, instrument, or line with the quarters. Then we have a one knob compressor. That's green. One knob compressors are wonderful because you don't have to spend a lot of time tweaking and figuring it out. We believe that we've put in the essential parameters to make a one knob compressor work, and just it's what you need and what you would do even if you had 48, he wouldn't have 48, but, hard knee, soft knee, a
Mm-hmm.
threshold and all that stuff. So it has a one knob compressor, just bang. I needed compression. There it is. The input switch I had talked about will allow you choose each channel can be either live input, USB as a USB audio interface or a USB feed, or the internal multi-track recorder. Then we have a three-band EQ, sweepable mids, two sends, aux sends, per
Nice.
channel. Of
And
course,
is that what feeds the headphone outs, or is that a separate bus?
those are separate buses.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. If you want to set up a headphone mix, you can actually go into the menu and then choose how you want that to flow.
Ah, nice.
Yep. And then one of these is tied to the effects processor. It has a built-in digital effects processor with all the good stuff you need: reverb, delays, reverb and delays, some chorus, some
Mm-hmm.
flange,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. Then you have your record arm for the internal recorder. I just armed two tracks. If you want to de-arm those two tracks, just touch them again. You gotta love that. Solo in place, which is awesome. When you're feeding a mix into it from the multi-track recorder or from a DAW, you can actually use it solo in place, like a large format console would have. And then
Mm-hmm.
you can choose assign subgroups like an old analog console. So if you had vocals coming in on 1, 2, and 3, I could assign those to a sub, and then my sub fader here is all three of those vocals on one fader, just
Oh, that's
like
great.
traditional analog mixer would be. It is a digital mixer though, but it has a facade, a use, and a GUI of a analog mixer, which you gotta love that.
Huh. Very interesting. Lots of possibilities. Um, Paul, can you flip your camera around so we can see you?
Yes, my pleasure here. Here we go.
Ah, there you are. Hey, that was really awesome. Thank you so much for showing us that. I just want to give people a chance if they have any questions. We covered a fair amount of ground, but yeah, I think we're good. I really appreciate you taking the time to show us that, and yeah, I'm very excited for that mixer, and the streaming appliance really is great. Yeah, really.
These are cool.
And yeah, and that was yeah, that's right.
These too. The handhelds are great too.
Oh yeah. Was there any handheld you want to show us?
Well, I could just go through them really quick. I'll make this
Sure,
very
sure, sure,
fast.
sure. Yeah.
We we literally pioneered the handheld recorder market. So I have three of them here. The largest format one is this one right here. This is the DR40X. I can fire that one up. And let's see here. Maybe I didn't fire it up, but anyway, it's this is the one that's mainly used for video applications as well as audio. And the reason is that it has scalable microphones, ABXY, very high quality, but you can see that it has two XLR jacks as well. So you could plug in, professional audio into it, whether it's microphones or room tone mics, however you're going to use it. And then you can also put it on the top of a DSLR camera on your tripod and use it that way, which is how I see a lot of AV folks use it. They may use it as a XY configuration for more of a shotgun mic, or if they want to spread a little bit more room tone or whatever, they just spread that out. So, but it's a great unit. We sell tons of these. Records into an internal SD card as well. Has all kinds of things on there, Peter: limiters, compressors, EQ, gain control, automatic gain control. It all works great. All derived, from our technology that's woven through all of our product lines.
Uh-huh.
So, that's less than $200. That's the DR40X. Our least expensive one's the DR05X. This is less than $100 or around $100. And this has become kind of a standard unit as well. Again, everything that the DR40X would do does not have XLR jacks. Obviously, it's a small format handheld industrial design, and nor are the microphones scalable. So it's at a fixed AB configuration. But we have that one. And then in between, this is one of my favorites, actually. This is the DR07X. And this is one of my favorites because it's this unit with scalable microphones.
Huh.
So sometimes I like to just put it in front of me and just sit with my acoustic guitar and, play and, pseudo write my songs, right? That's what makes it fun now and keeps me sane in these times as well. And
No
I'm sure
kidding. Yeah.
your customers. Or if I want to spread it and I've got somebody next to me, who's also my best friend plays acoustic guitar, and I just spread the mics out a little bit and we just go for it. Have a good time, yuck it up. Sometimes we do serious songwriting. Sometimes we turn into Cheech and Chong.
Fantastic.
So yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's really great. Good. All right. Well, Paul, I really appreciate you taking the time to show us this stuff, and it's good. It's good to see you. And yeah, I mean, it's very strange. This is the new NAB for at least for now. But yeah, well, I hope to see you in person soon, and thank you. And I'm glad to see you're healthy. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Jared, for giving us those links. Anybody has any questions, please follow up. And yeah, well, we'll have another one at 3:00. Thanks.
Thanks, Peter. And thank you, Gotham.
You bet.